Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Warcraft 3 replay cast. Today it's a 1 vs 1 on Echo Isles. It is a Warcraft 3 ArenaNet top replay and a Gara Cup Grand Finals Game 3. So hot damn, serious business between our red undead player, Happy, and our yellow orc player, Focus. And we're going to speed it up to the 2-minute point of the game, and all the heroes come out, all the good stuff starts to happen. And I want to thank you guys for sticking around for over 150 Warcraft 3 replay cast. Pretty cool. And just broke the 1,700 subscribers mark, which I'm sort of proud of, I suppose. And should be a pretty good game. Like I said, Gara Cup Grand Finals Game 3. And I don't have the other two games, but this was a top replay on Warcraft 3 ArenaNet, and I'm always checking out the replays on that site. And whenever I see a new top replay or replay of the week, I cast them. There is also a Warcraft 3 ArenaNet replay of the week. It is a 3 vs 3, and I will be getting on that pretty soon. But until then, we have this one. Focus right after the Ogre Camp. It's a Gloves of Haste, pretty decent start for a Blade Master, because why not? I suppose I always hope for Claws of Attack, but Gloves of Haste, just as good. Faster attack speed equals more crits, equals more winning. And now Blade Master moving into the marketplace. We'll take out the Ogre Magi.
Players' forces are
and two
under
Forest
attack.
Troll Trappers will block the two Ogre Warriors. And thus, some of the damage. And Death Knight pulling the Ogre Warrior camp and taking his good time doing it. And we'll see what item Focus gets here. And he's going to get pretty low on this, 31 health. And manages to hard bust that Windwalk. Picks up Claws of Attack +6 from the marketplace. Sells the Scroll of the Beast, as most people do. Just a little too easy to dispel it. And of course the undead opponent will just consume thy magic with destroyers, at least potentially. And no brute camp now for Happy. And I see the Blade Master down at the shop and gets a Manual of Health. Blade Master picks up Boots of Speed and a Circlet of Nobility. So now a pretty decked out Blade Master at level 2, +8 damage. Of course, that 15% increased attack speed as well. And I don't know why I said it like that, just felt like it. And Focus sees what's going on here. We'll go after a Crypt Fiend. And unlikely to get the kill, but we'll take some mana from the Death Knight. And just be a general pesky Blade Master, as they always are. And Death Knight sporting the Dust of Appearance and a Ring of Selling. And Blade Master gets a lot of damage off on those Crypt Fiends, but on Blight now, and the Unholy Aura will heal him up eventually, so not too big of a deal there for Happy, but I'd say that Focus off to a slightly better start. Both of them level 2, Death Knight a little bit higher, but the items on the Blade Master pretty good. And the constant harassment from the Blade Master there, forcing the undead back in the base. And I'd like to see some proxy creeping right about now from Focus, perhaps with a couple grunts or so, could take out a Knoll camp and perhaps get the Blade Master a little bit of experience while he is harassing his opponent. And we'll chase down the Skeletal Warrior, but probably will run out of time before it is taken down. And how's the dead coming up? Stronghold already up, Spirit Lodge and Bestiary, so 1 and 1. Sort of doing a wannabe StarCraft 1-1-1 build. Or maybe StarCraft got the 1-1-1 build from Warcraft 3, since StarCraft 2. That's sort of where that build was coined, I suppose. I guess you could easily do it in StarCraft 1 as well, but you know the drill.
A player's forces are under attack.
And now Tauren Chieftain going after the Ogre Magi camp. Meanwhile, Blade Master still being ye ol' pesky Blade Master. we'll see what drops for the Tauren Chieftain. Hopefully something useful and not a Ring of Selling, although the Ring of Selling actually does the Tauren Chieftain some good, as he starts, of course, with only 2 armor. And going to be a Circle of Nobility. And always, can never really complain about the Circle of Nobility. Always a good item. Somewhat mediocre, but definitely not a bad item. Ogre Magi goes down very quickly. And looks like another Ring of Selling for the Death Knight. Looks like he sold his original Ring of Selling. And if he had not done that, he could have 2 whole Rings of Selling by now. Or even greater selling. And the Trapper will go down here. Tauren Chieftain now going after the Ogre Mauler camp. And that's a shot. Doesn't buy anything. Could possibly pick up another Circle of Nobility. Not sure if it has respawned by now. That is certainly a possibility. Ogre Mauler will go down. Tome of Agility and Sentry Wards. Legal map hack. Or focus. And Happy taking the bottom route incognito, but is going to be spotted here by Focus. Focus not quite ready to fight just yet. Ensnare on one of the spiders. And we'll pull back until his Blade Master is ready to go. Death Coil on the Crypt Fiend. Keeps it alive. Keeps it in the game. Now burrowed. Sentry Ward goes down, and no more burrow for you. And a crit takes out a Crypt Fiend. No units lost for Focus. So definitely came out on top on that one. And neither side going after the Renegade Wizard camp just yet, but it looks like Focus is on that.
A player's forces are under attack.
And the Murloc camp for Happy. And much better item will drop from the Renegade Wizard camp, of course. But a decent amount of experience comes from the Murloc camp. Most of them are low level, but there is just a lot of them. And Talisman of Evasion for the Tauren Chieftain. And Lich still awaiting his level 2.
A player's forces are under attack.
And now Manual Health drops for the Tauren Chieftain. He will yoink that from the small Knoll camp, and will just barely be away from level 3. Picks up a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability on the Blade Master, and Orb of Corruption placed on the Lich. And Lich will be level 2 from this. Death Knight possibly level 3. Yeah, it looks like he will be level 3. And now the Blade Master solo creeping the Murloc Nightcrawler camp at the bottom. And Tauren Chieftain at the top, finishing off the Magi, or the Ogre camp. And Ring of Regeneration on the Death Knight. Always like the Ring of Regeneration on my Death Knights, as it just kind of sort of stacks with Unholy Aura and makes you regenerate really, really fast. But may end up getting sold, and it does, as it's not the most useful item ever. I think Grubby actually decided that it was a useful item. I think in one of his streams he concluded that it was quite a useful item, but I kind of disagree. In a minute of fighting, I guess you could gain 120 health, which could mean the difference between life or death. And I see why Grubby would agree that the Ring of Regeneration is a decent item, because he usually goes Blade Master. It's very easy for a Blade Master to actually survive with only a few health, just because you barely get to Windwalk away in the last second. And so a Ring of Regeneration, just a few health, could mean the difference between life or death very easily on a Blade Master. So I definitely see why he would definitely agree with that, but most people just typically sell it off. Or if you don't really need the money, I guess you just hold it on just for item's sake until you run out of room on your hero and need to free it up for something better. Tome of Strength +2, picked up by the Blade Master there. 50 health for him. Free stuff. And Tauren Chieftain now surrounded and manages to make it out. And Tauren Chieftain takes a Frost Nova Death Coil combo. Tauren Chieftain in big trouble now. You're going to use that Scroll of Healing and the Potion of Invulnerability. And stays in the game. Unfortunately, used the Scroll of Healing a little too early. Kind of had to. But not a lot of low health units for that to really be efficient on. And now they worked in a little bit of trouble here. Loses a couple grunts. We'll lose a Raider now. And not that many units remaining for the Orc. But now a couple units from up top, some reinforcements have arrived. And Kodo Beast yoinks and eats a Crypt Fiend. Tauren Chieftain goes down. Gives all that juicy experience to the Death Knight and the Lich. And another Crypt Fiend goes down from Happy there. And another goes down. And I think there is a... Yep, the Sentry Ward is still here. So anytime he has been burrowing in this region, he is definitely not hidden. Another Orc Grunt goes down. And the Dark Ranger running for her life. And Dusted Blade Master is spotted. Ogre Mauler running for his life. Everybody running for their lives. And Tauren Chieftain gets revived at the tavern. Not sure if that was the greatest idea, as they only revive with half health and no mana. And now he is in a bit of trouble. And just 5 more mana, and this Death Knight will be hucking a Death Coil at this Tauren Chieftain. Although Tauren Chieftain will not die from it just yet, I don't believe. Nope, does not look like that would be the case. And fortunately makes it out alive. We'll lose a Headhunter here, perhaps. Like getting close, and one hit there on that Headhunter gets finished off. Blade Master hacking away at the Death Knight, ensnared, and now surrounded. Potion of Invulnerability goes off on the Death Knight, will keep him alive. And now the Orc has to retreat momentarily once again. And Tauren Chieftain still very low on health. And Town Portal goes off. Tauren Chieftain, will he make it before the Town Portal? Oh, just barely. 15 health on that Tauren Chieftain. And now both sides very low on units. And looks like Focus coming out on top here. And has much more units, although Headhunter's very easy to produce. And really just a couple Destroyers. Of course, the Obsidian Statues as well. And Tome of Strength for the Death Knight. And Claws of Attack, I think just purchased from the marketplace there. And transferred to the Lich. Also has a Gloves of Haste on the Lich as well. And another Ogre Mauler purchased for the Orc army. And Murloc Camp will be pulled away by the Undead. And just under Focus's nose, he will lose his Creep Camp to the Undead. Happy, more than willing to pick that up, although I think you only get a tome from these particular merc. No, but he actually gets a Claws of Attack +6, transfers that to the Lich, and now plus 17 damage on the Lich. So a very lethal Lich indeed now. And an increase of at least well, close to 50% of his maximum damage. And now an Abomination in on the mix here. Tauren Chieftain takes a huge amount of damage right off the bat. The Death Coil Frost Nova combo, always brutal. And Blade Master now going after the Obsidian Statue here. And turns that into a Yield Destroyer. Vulnerability Potion on the Tauren Chieftain, although I think that might have been a little early. And Tauren Chieftain needs to salve up. He will stay in the back for a moment. And goes forward into the battle, loses a salve already. And Blade Master unfortunately gets no good crits there on the Lich. Lich about halfway and takes a Death Coil. And now fully healed. Dust of Appearance on the Blade Master leaves him quite vulnerable for now. And Headhunter is going after the Destroyer. We'll take out one Destroyer here, and one left, but the Headhunter's in a bit of trouble now. Kodo Beast and the Spirit Walker running away. And Blade Master, the dust hath worn off. I played a lot of Dungeon, or Dragon Warrior rather, when I was a kid for Nintendo, so don't mind me. There is no door here. And an invulnerability potion just before that death coil hits. Very good timing there from Focus. And would have resulted in one dead Blade Master. And the Orc expansion still going. No expansion for Happy. So he is at a disadvantage in terms of income. And the Kodo Beast goes down and releases the Crypt Fiend, which I'm sure he is very grateful for, if that's a he. I'm assuming it's a he. Maybe it's all female, as they're all spiders and they're very large. Maybe they could be female. But it sounds like he has a male voice when it talks. I'm assuming he. Let's go with that. Let's go with it for now. I know gender is a very sensitive topic lately, and it's a very sensitive topic for Crypt Fiends. They're sort of in a transition phase. They're in a social justice warrior phase. They're very sensitive about their sexual dimorphism. When Chieftain takes another Death Coil Frost Nova combo. I should just coin a term for that, like Coil Nova. Yeah, we'll go with that. And Dark Ranger taking a wicked beating there. But should be just fine now. We'll have to bail with the Blade Master. Best of appearance on for now. Troll Berserkers upgraded, but getting wasted by the undead army here, which is basically just heroes, one destroyer in the mix of things. But other than that, Lord Chieftain now Tavern revived. Unfortunately, Tavern revive. No mana for the Tauren Chieftain. And surprisingly, the Orc army very thin, even with the gold mine, the expansion, and very low on lumber as well. As you can see, only 36 lumber for Focus. And that is in part to all the headhunters he has been producing, and all the peons now dead, all of them turned into skeletal minions. And Spirit Walker trying to disenchant, but completely out of mana there. And Lich in a bit of trouble now, and a Death Coil will save the Lich. Very well played there by Happy, keeping that Lich alive. And doesn't have any mana now, so the Lich will go down. And the Tauren Chieftain running for the hills here, and I think this Tauren Chieftain is pretty much doomed. Either way, the Death Knight will eventually reach enough to Death Coil this Tauren Chieftain, and failed to body block the Tauren Chieftain there with the Obsidian Statue, which could have resulted in the Tauren Chieftain dying much earlier. Tauren Chieftain Focus, or rather Happy, gives up on Focus's Tauren Chieftain.
Players' forces are under attack.
And Death Knight just about enough for another Death Coil. So as soon as the Blade Master goes after the Dark Ranger at some point, we'll be able to heal them on up. Although now 2 heroes at 50% health, only 1 Death Coil to go around currently. Blade Master will go to the Merchant, picks up a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, and looks like the Tauren Chieftain made it back to base. And it wasn't look at the mini-map for a moment there. How pro is that, right? And Tauren Chieftain now Clarity Potion and Salve up, and we'll be good to go. And Dust of Appearance purchased once again by the Death Knight, and the Great Hall now going strong once again with peons, but Black Arrows will create a whole mess of minions once again. And the peons who are fueling the undead army at the moment. And now the expansion definitely in trouble here. A few raiders and a berserker ready to go. And a salve is going strong on the Blade Master for now, and just needs to wait a few moments for that health to kick in. They're going after the Lich, and now the Death Knight will town portal away and nearly kills the Dark Ranger there. Was very low, took a death coil just now. And now both heroes salving up, and Clarity Potions going strong. An Undead Army is ready to go once again, and only 650 gold in that gold mine left. So if Happy does not expand shortly, could run into problems. Wand of Lightning Shield purchased by the Dark Ranger, so we'll see what that's all about. Could be looking to put it in the peon line there. But I think the Black Arrow and Dark Minions are definitely better. And the Wand of Lightning Shield will end up just hurting all of those minions as they spawn. And it looks like that is exactly what the Wand of Lightning Shield is going to be used for here. Probably? Question mark? And it doesn't look like this case. Doesn't really need it. And well, instead we'll just make a bunch of skeletal minions. And instead using the Wand of Lightning Shield to chase after the Berserkers, which I suppose is just as effective. And Focus and Happy going at it. And looks like this may be one of the last fights in this game, as both players are getting down to the nitty-gritty. And if Happy doesn't really do a lot of damage right now, then this expansion could survive. And I'd like to see a burrow here. I'm not sure why Focus does not have a burrow here. Those peons could have been hiding in the burrow this entire time, off and on, and would certainly have not lost as many peons due to the fact they could have just hidden in the burrow and wouldn't have created as many dark minions either, or rather skeletal minions. And Death Knight in a bit of trouble here. Takes a stun. Death Knight will go down. And now just the Lich and the Dark Ranger, unfortunately, too weak to really withstand the Blade Master. And Happy GG's out, and I believe that Focus, the winner of the Gera Cup, as this was Grand Finals Game 3, as it was in the comments section of this replay on Warcraft 3 ArenaNet. So that was a top replay and the Gera Cup Finals game. So hope you guys enjoyed it. It was really good, but I think one thing I would have liked to see different is definitely a burrow at the expansion there for Focus. Every time that the Dark Ranger and friends came on in there, the peons had nowhere to go, and one burrow, I think, would have simply solved that problem, and with a little micro could have lost significantly less peons, as 4 of them could have hidden inside and one of them repair and then swap them out. You know, that micro kind of deal, the whole peon burrow dance. But heroes relatively even, a little bit higher for Focus due to the fact of having 2. But I hope you guys enjoyed this replay, and I will see you guys next time.